So 3 years ago now, I believe, this impressive director duo, two former YouTubers, set out to direct an A24 horror movie called Talk to Me. They are now back with Bring Her Back, a new film that looks terrifying. But is it? And so Bring Her Back is definitely rated R. Strong, disturbing, bloody, violent content, grisly images, graphic nudity, underage drinking, and language. We have a brother and sister who uncover a terrifying ritual at this secluded home of their new foster mother. And this brother-sister duo is dealing with something terrible and tragic, something that continues to affect them and impact them even with their new family. It's not just this mother. It's this mother and then this little kid who's just hanging out, locked in bedrooms.
What? No.
If that opening scene didn't sketch you out, the idea of this kid, yeah, that does. And going back to those directors, two YouTubers. Again, it's so cool, man. They started on the platform that we're on right now, and they went on to bring us one of the better horror films of that year. And now their second attempt, Bring Her Back, once again with A24, stars Sally Hawkins as the crazy mother. And I don't mean it first. That's how a lot of these movies go. You move in with the foster parent or parents and everything's cool. She's trying to relate to these kids, even though there are a couple of moments in there, one in particular, when she sees something he's writing on his phone and says, "You said that? Well, guess what? I'm gonna lose my mind.
I'm a psycho."
But is there more than just your typical level of crazy going on in this specific horror movie? Or is it just, cliche horror character after dumb decision? I would not categorize Bring Her Back as that. I believe this is a far more emotionally satisfying film than I expected. There's depth, because not only are our kids dealing and reeling with the tragedy that just happened in their life, but Sally Hawkins' character is also dealing with something extremely and entirely emotional. You get a little hint of that when we first meet her, but this movie is consistently handling and dealing with tragedy. Attempting to handle and cope with those emotions at such a young age, specifically our young girl, that is a very difficult thing to do. But even at an older age, like Sally Hawkins' character, you can tell what happened to her before she met these kids has been eating her alive. And this is such a beautiful and relatable subject on its surface, but the way this movie handles these concepts and the inability to let someone go across the board. Our young boy, he's kind of struggling with that, as well as their new foster mother who just cannot let them go. So Piper and Andy, our brother and sister here, a great duo. I love the way that they communicate with each other kind of outside of outsider knowledge. They have code words, which is very interesting because they've been through a lot, but there are also secrets that they are keeping from each other regarding their previous home, and they're just trying to figure out how they're going to get themselves out of this situation. Andy's almost to that age where he can take her in, they can fend for themselves, but right now, they're still kids and technically orphans. They have to go to a new home. And placing them with Laura makes all the sense in the world because she seems great on her surface to everyone on the outside. She served her community, worked well with kids. All right, this is the best place to send them. And ultimately, it's just a series of WTFs all throughout the first half of the movie. What's that mean? That's weird. Normal parents don't. What's going on?
What the fuck?
Little hair's dangling. Getting on my nerves. Austin, get to the point here. Is the movie scary? Well, it's unnerving. It's unsettling. It's emotionally complex in a way that I didn't expect. I don't know if I would call it scary in the way that a lot of you are thinking who saw the trailer. You probably saw the trailer and thought, oh, wow, we're going to get things popping out, some jump scares, some crazy moments. Visually, I believe it is terrifying in a sense, but it's not the type of scary that maybe you're expecting. It's not scary like Conjuring. It's more scary in the vein that you expect from A24. I was going to say think Hereditary, but Hereditary also has some phenomenal jump scares. I don't think Bring Her Back has all that much of them. It does occasionally rely on practical effects. I'm talking bloody, gory, body dismembering practical effects to keep you on the edge of your seat. And if that terrifies you, then you will consider this scary. Yeah, I'm not sitting here like, oh, okay, this guy.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
It takes a lot for a movie to scare me. It really does. Something to make me jump. When it does it, I've got to give it kudos. Last year, Alien, that movie had one jump scare that, like, all right, that did its job. But recently there hasn't been much, and that doesn't really exist in Bring Her Back. But that's not really what the movie is going for. It's attempting to dive deep into the emotions of these characters because what they are carrying, the weight that they have, all of them, both on the good and the bad side, even though you can see that from different perspectives, they are carrying something at the beginning, and then when we first get introduced to Sally Hawkins' character, and it's heavy, it's a burden. It is dealing and realizing how loss can affect you so deeply. And the idea of how the title plays into this, Bring Her Back, is just so beautifully weaved in. And then once you discover what this film is actually trying to do, and it's not your conventional horror movie, you're just in it to see where this goes and what happens, that's when I realized this film is doing its job. It's a little more than maybe your conventional horror film, and some are going to walk out disappointed that they weren't scared to death. That's the thing, you're going to watch this be like, that makes me uncomfortable. A couple of times you kind of want to look away, but you can't, but you want to, but you can't. That's the definition of an effective horror movie. Not horror in the vein that you think it's going to be, but more in a psychological sense, a psychological horrific thriller, if you will. And it worked in that way, and I really like that this had something a little more to it, a little deeper than maybe what some people are expecting, and just fantastic performances. Not a lot of people in this film, but the performances that you get are awesome, and it's a wholly relatable story on its surface until the freaky stuff starts happening. Well, I guess that's in the first scene. It's not very relatable, but it's real. Were there times while watching where I felt like they needed a little more to accompany this moment, or that character got inevitably shortchanged in the end? Like there wasn't enough within the big idea to fully bring home every scene? Sure, I did feel that way, and the build-up is a little slower. In the beginning, you're kind of just wanting that family to gel a bit quicker, and then there's that ending that doesn't have that, it's not too uplifting, I'll say that. It all depends on how you're feeling in the moment, if it's going to work with you, but I do feel like it's going to stick with you, and that's the sign of a good horror, really like a horror thriller. But I need you guys to let me know down below. What's your favorite A24 horror movie, and which one's better, Talk to Me or Bring Her Back? I'd love to know that down below. Also, if we get enough likes on this video, I may do an A24 horror tier list at some point soon. Bring Her Back delivers an unsettling and ultimately unnerving story that feels far more emotionally complex than expected. This film offers a unique look at grief, the impact of loss, and the idea of letting go, while providing grotesque and occasionally horrifying images to accompany these ideas. It isn't all smooth sailing, but the end result will stick with you. And that's kind of what I was looking for here. Also, some of the shots are beautiful. I'm pumped to see what this director duo does next. And Sally Hawkins, you are such a good actor. My God, it's incredible. Thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts down below.